Hi everyone. I just wanted to point out that little grammar check setting that I use. I do realize that for some reason it doesn't work as it hasn't worked as consistently to pick up some things in my regular Word. So this is how I did it, and this is just what I want to show you. I took a journal posting from the journals. This is one I made up, and I pasted it into Word. And from there, you'll notice that I get these little green squiggly lines. So that's how I noticed. I will say that some other papers of mine haven't picked some of these things up when I actually just type right into Word. So I'm not sure what that's all about. But maybe this is, I still think that it's worth checking out this setting. Okay, so this is what I see when I copied and pasted one of your journals or many of your journals into Word. And I did it because that way I can use the review and the track changes and the comments more easily. Okay. So the way that you set your grammar and style, if you haven't already done this, is you go to File, you go to Options, you go to Proofing, and you make sure that the grammar and style is set, not just the grammar only. If you hit the grammar only, you'll notice that it catches a lot of things, but it leaves a lot of things unchecked. Okay? If you set it for grammar and style, suddenly all of these things like contractions, fragment sentences, etc., possessives and punctuation, things like that, passive sentences all show up. Sentence length, more than 60 words. I asked you to write no more than 45 words. I think 60-word sentences are really long. Okay? So that's what I would suggest that you do. All right, and you can kind of look in here, and that again shows you what it's going to be looking for. And you say okay. Then you go to this spelling and grammar, which is under the review. So this is our home where we type, and we'll click on review. And you do the spelling and grammar. So the first little issue, if you don't know what it's asking you, you can usually, sometimes it will tell you. I think this is just a spacing issue. So it just wants me to show that there's an extra space. Okay, excellent. So from reading the course outline and being provided with an outline of future assessment tasks, that should be a pause, a comma would go there, and it's not. So notice the green squiggly line, it's suggesting a comma, I would change that. Now notice that this being provided or has provided, those kinds of phrases are passive voice. You can consider revising. Passive voice isn't wrong, and very often research reports are written this way because it avoids use of first person. I just want you to be aware of it because there are times when you can do a quick little change and it just makes your writing stronger and more active. It may not matter maybe in a research paper, but some of the things that you might be writing in terms of an advocacy paper or article or something, it might be better to have more active voice. So from reading the course outline and being provided with an outline of future assessments, maybe it's from reading the course outline and an outline of future assessment tasks. I feel like this course is going to really help develop our clinical reasoning skills. Okay? It just makes it a stronger sentence, less wordy, and more direct. Let's resume. Okay, now it's telling me this is a split infinitive. Again, another one of those things that isn't critical. We can ask it to explain that to us. So it gives you a little definition of what this means rather quickly. So instead of the team plans to rather quickly complete, the team plans to complete the first phase quickly. Again, it's just reversing things to be more direct. So this course is going to help develop our clinical reasoning skills even more, something like that. Maybe you could just revise that. I'm not going to mess with that one at the moment. So we're going to ignore that. allowing me to consider the importance of including the perspective of occupational science within my studies and daily thinking. That's a fragment sentence. It's not a complete sentence. It kind of looks like a complete sentence, but what is allowing you to consider the importance of including this? Or what does allowing you to consider the importance do? Okay, so it's what does it do with your studies? So you can either change the sentence two ways. One way would be the course content allows me to consider the importance of including the perspective of occupational science within my studies and daily thinking. Okay, so that just changes it, again, makes it more direct and gets rid of the fragmentation. And you could have done it, allowing me to consider the importance of including the perspective of occupational science within my studies and daily thinking enables me to clinically reason better. Something like that, where you could add a phrase, but basically this is just an incomplete sentence. There are some areas of occupation that straight away can be categorized into a specific definition. However, for many others, the issue could be categorized into one or more. Wordy, just sort of a bit circular. It's a great point. We all know this. So how could we eliminate some words or get more succinct? There are some areas of occupation that straight away can be categorized into a specific definition. However, let's see. Others could be categorized into one or more. Okay, so it just takes out some of the wordiness, and then you see it prompts me to put in a comma, and then you'll see it prompts me again that this is wordy. There are some areas of occupation that can be categorized. It might be this that can readily, let's see, be categorized. Nope, it doesn't like that either. That can easily be categorized into a specific definition. And in this case, maybe you just leave it. You leave straight away and you leave that. Okay? Sometimes it doesn't, and I get that. And when I look at these things, I sometimes change them, and sometimes I realize it's not the biggest deal. Okay, so we'll keep resuming. This categorization caused confusion to myself. That would be, let's see, let's ignore that. Me. Me would be a better word. Myself kind of sounds more formal, but it's not as grammatically correct. Let's see. Can't. I don't mind contractions, but in formal writing, you may want to eliminate the contractions. Like for Sam's class, you might have to eliminate contractions. In honesty, I sometimes find it difficult to clearly distinguish between types of diagnosis, especially when an issue can be argued in more than one way. This is that passive voice. What basically is happening here is that the issue is arguing. An issue is an inanimate object. It's not real. So it becomes passive when you try to turn an inanimate object into something that does something that a human would do. So the only real way to change this is to use first person, and sometimes that is appropriate and sometimes it isn't, which is why you just consider revising. So especially when I can argue an issue in more than one way. Okay? So resume. And this was a place where I kept seeing this in many of your papers, where you had the word which after a word, and according to all the years that I've been using this, it is something where it comes up where it suggests to me to put a comma at the end of the phrase before the which, or change the word to that. So I tend to change it. So this has been an informative experience, comma, pause, which I feel has helped me, okay? And that has helped would be passive, but it's okay. So bounce back is an example of occupational justice being advocated and spread around the world. Similarly, this is passive voice. You can change it or not. Similarly here, they were based upon the same philosophies of occupation. I struggle to comprehend that although they, now I would argue, what they are you talking about? They and they. I will sometimes say to you, they who, they what? Okay, so I suggest that this was probably like um, ideas or things like that. But again, you're personifying something that I need to know what you mean. Like they, people, they, students. So whenever you see the word they or the or this, sometimes you, like, I love that this says this reading. Very many of you would probably just write, this very simplistically described occupational science. And I'd be like, what's this? Okay? So keep that in mind. So this is another little place of passive voice. And you can change that. We'll just keep going just to get through this. Ignore one. This reading, and I love this reading, okay? So most of you would have written this very simplistically, and I get it. You probably spoke about a reading in the earlier sentence, but it's just stronger when you repeat what the noun is that you're talking about. This reading very simplistically described occupational science as being a basic science, which then emerges in applied science. Okay, here's that which thing again, and that comma thing, so I would change it. Okay, at the beginning of this course, again, comma, take a pause, I was struggling to understand occupational science and how it related to occupational therapy. This is a sentence structure. Sort of maybe look at revising it. I was struggling to understand occupational science and let's try this. Its relationship to occupational therapy. There. Okay? So you see how it just tightens it up when you eliminate some of the words, when you write more directly. How to get to know how to do this? It just takes practice. It does take having someone else read your writing. And again, when it's you and your classmates reading it, sometimes you're so attached to the content that it's hard to see this. So you may want to get sort of an outsider to read your papers. I also know that there is academic support on campus, that if you get things done in time, you can go have them assist you in proofreading. Okay? So again, going back, you're going to go to File, Options, Proofing, Set to Grammar and Style, and then you'll come to Review and do the spelling and grammar. Okay, it's not going to redo it for me. All right, so hopefully that helps.